to me, is one of the most profound. It's called the Antikythera machine. It was actually discovered by divers off the shore of Crete in 1901. 1901, the divers were looking for other kinds of artifacts, and they found this encrusted conglomerate of something they had never seen before. Now, bear in mind, this is 1901. This is the turn of 2 centuries ago. Not last century, but the century before. And when they brought this artifact to the surface, what they saw encrusted in the shells and in the sediment that was there were a series of gears, very sophisticated gears, in a way that had never been seen before. Well, they took this artifact, they preserved it, they couldn't explain it. And it wasn't until X-rays became a little bit more sophisticated that the X-rays were able to actually penetrate this sediment and revealed inside something even more profound, really sophisticated variable gears that interlock with one another in a way that had never been seen in the world before. The interesting thing is that the artifact was dated to about 80 BCE, before Common Era, which means it's over 2,000 years old. So the question is, over 2,000 years ago, number one, who had the technology to make this kind of gear? Number two, who had the technology to take these gears and apply them in a machine that is now being suspected as an astronomical device to help calculate the movements of stars and planets in the heaven in a way that we didn't see until the 20th century, later in the 20th century. So this is an example of an out-of-place artifact. But there are others. Now, I'm going to go from some of the most recent, backward in geologic time, just to give you a sense of what scientists are dealing with. Because remember, science is telling us, through that pyramid of thinking that we saw in an earlier episode, that civilization is only 5,000 years old. That's the problem when we start finding things like this. What you're looking at on your screen right now is a clay human figure that was found in Nampa, Idaho. It was discovered by drilling a well, it was a water well, 300 feet deep. And that 300 feet placed the drill into the geologic strata that we call the Pleistocene. So this is the Pleistocene age. That is about 1.2 million years before present. So just for reference, I mean, humans only appeared on Earth about 200,000 years ago, is what we're finding. So the question is, what is this clay figurine, a little bit larger than the size of an American dime you're seeing for scale on the screen? What is that figurine doing in Pleistocene strata that's now being dated at 1.2 million years? Scientists can't answer that. That is why it is an out-of-place artifact. Now we're going to go back a little further, and this is a particularly fascinating artifact for me. This is found in northern Russia, in Lubinsk. And if you look closely, what you're seeing in this piece of rock is what looks to be a microchip. It's a microchip that should not be where it is, because this rock comes from an even older period in geologic history. It comes from the Permian period. That's around 225 to 250 million years before present. This cannot be hoaxed, because this chip is actually embedded in the strata, and the strata was made 225 to 250 million years ago. How does this happen? What is it telling us about our past? This is one of the great mysteries that researchers are struggling with right now. But it goes even further. I live in northern New Mexico, and it was in New Mexico in 1987 that a researcher found what you're seeing on the screen right now, and it is just what it looks like. It is a human footprint. And it's not just a piece of a human footprint. This is a fully formed, very well developed human footprint. The problem is, this footprint is in Permian strata, a time from the Permian period that's about 290 million years before present. Again, just for reference, humans first appeared only 200,000 years ago. So what is a fully formed human footprint doing in strata that's 290 million years old? In the Ordovician period, a group of scientists discovered what you're seeing right now, and it's just what it looks like. This is an iron hammer on a wooden shaft. It was found in a town in Texas. It's called London, Texas. It was found in 1934, and this cannot be hoaxed. The shaft is actually embedded into the strata, and the wood in the shaft has been there so long it's actually becoming carbonized into coal. So the shaft of this hammer is turning into coal. How did this hammer get into 400 million year old strata? But it doesn't stop there. And I wanted to share this with you before we bring this all together and then take it to the next step. In South Africa, one of the great mysteries that was found years ago was an entire field of spheres that are made of a metal that is not native to our planet as we know it today. It's been combined, an alloy, in a way that does not happen naturally. But the thing is, the spheres are all machined. They have machined grooves around them. Some of them are very large. They're feet in diameter. Some of them are only a few centimeters or inches in diameter. You're seeing some on the screen right now. But here's the thing. These mysterious spheres in South Africa are now being dated. Look at this. 570 million years before present. Now, I just want to give you some context. What you're seeing is a geologic map of time. You're seeing the most recent at the top, and the oldest strata, again, is at the bottom. And we've talked about the Permian, the Ordovician periods, the Pleistocene period near the top. These spheres are coming from a time at the bottom of the geologic timetable before life began. At this time, if there was life, it was only primitive, single cell, maybe amoebas, very primitive biological life. It's called Precambrian period. So this is the mystery. What are these technologically advanced, machined spheres doing in South Africa at a time when not only are there no humans, but the most advanced forms of life known at that time were single cells? Now you're getting a sense of what out-of-place artifacts are all about.